to a cookie jar conversation. My guest tonight is Miss Lydia, and she is sitting in for Miss Anita because Miss Anita had an accident a week or so ago, and she's just not feeling up to being on camera, or
she likes her recliner right now.
And I don't blame her. I don't blame her. But tonight our conversation is about legacy, and so we hope that you just stay with us and enjoy this as much as I've enjoyed kind of preparing for it.
It's been fun.
Have you ever researched your family tree?
I have. I think in high school I did a project, but it didn't go very far because we wasn't required to.
Yeah. Well, there are whole websites who are dedicated to helping you trace your lineage.
Right.
You can trace the roots of your family back several generations, and when you're tracing that family tree, I don't know about you, but I kind of like to look and see if I recognize any names from history, prominent people that I would recognize.
If you're famous or
if
not.
you're famous. Some may look for ties to nobility. Some families are traced to the founding of our country and our forefathers. Some families even boast of a former president in their lineage. Some families may boast of great military heroes, but still others can be traced to the infamous. And Jesus' lineage, well, it's really no different. In Matthew and Luke, you can trace the lineage of Jesus through both sides of his family. And both lists contain a list of names that are hard to pronounce, hard to spell, and I just kind of glance over them and get through them as fast as I can. But interestingly, those names are listed there for us to examine.
YouVersion is my best friend because it tells me how to pronounce stuff.
Oh, that's good.
It reads it for me.
So today I thought I'd take a closer look at those that are mentioned in the book of Matthew. In Jesus' lineage, you can see Rahab the harlot, the one who would hide the spies of Jericho, and by doing so spared her family. And she also claimed her spot in Jesus' lineage because she would eventually marry one of the spies.
Yeah.
You can see David is named. He was a man after God's heart, a boy who would be anointed king and a military hero. Yet his shortcomings lead him to commit adultery and have Uriah, the husband of Bathsheba, murdered to cover up his sin. You can trace Ruth, who is one of my favorite stories. Ruth is absolutely, that one and Esther are my two favorite. See, Ruth was a widow, but she was also an outsider. She was one of the people that the Jewish community were not supposed to mingle with. But she would become a part of Jesus' lineage through her devotion to her mother-in-law, Naomi. Ruth would marry Boaz, who is the father of Obed, and if I think I have this correctly, is the great-grandfather of King David.
I think so.
There are backstories, the good, the bad, that are connected to each of those names. There are times in my life I wish I had acted more calmly, rationally, or just avoided them altogether. I also know that from those experiences, though, I learned, and I have tried through those experiences to advise others how to avoid my mistakes. But all of us are leaving a legacy for others to trace.
Yeah.
The most important question for us to answer is, what kind of legacy will we leave for others to examine? Will our legacies inspire? Will they console? Will they counsel? Or will they warn? And will yours be a legacy to follow or one to avoid?
Yeah.
Decide today, what will your legacy be?
That's good. We, the decisions we make today affect somebody else's tomorrow.
Yes.
With the world the way it is right now, you think, we just had Memorial Day, and I look at Memorial Day as a day to reflect on what has happened in our country, why we are free, why certain things have happened that I have liberty for today as a 31-year-old. A lot has changed in my lifetime, much less, my parents, my grandparents, even so on and so on. But the choices that they made 30 years ago affect my life today. And I get to live out their legacy. And my kids and my grandkids, hopefully one day, will live out my legacy. And so I heard a story once. Maybe you've watched the movie Now You See Me.
I don't think so.
The one about the four horsemen. It's the magicians.
Oh.
It's about magic and stuff, which is, it's not magic, but it is. It's illusion, actually. And in there, they tell the story of the Lionel Shrike. I think I said that right. Lionel Shrike tree. This is a tree that has, along with the trick, the guy performing the trick signs a playing card, the Ace of Spades. He signs his autograph to it. Well, in the midst of the trick, the card vanishes. But if you go to the Shrike tree, there's a card. So at the end of his skit, there's a card inside the tree. So it's a huge trick that, hey, how did you get the card in? Well, 20 years before, as a child, he signed his name to an Ace of Spades and put it in plastic and put it in a tree that was growing. So the tree grew around the card to make a really cool trick 20 years later.
Right.
But yet at the same time, if he hadn't prepared when he was a child, he would have never had that trick as an adult.
Sure.
And I think, I'm learning that my kids have tendencies like I did as a kid. My parents go, that sounds familiar, all the time. And I'm like, just shut up and tell me how to raise them. But at the same time, they're like, no, you got to figure it out. But they're like, they come by it honest because I used to do the same thing. And my dad always tells me, I learned how to raise you the day I married you. I learned how to raise you when you were gone out of my house. And if I could go back, I would do things differently.
Right.
But now, I'm 31, I have 2 kids of my own. He can't go back to when I was 5 and redo. Because that's the legacy that he built. And I get to live that. And so the choices that we make today affect somebody down the road.
Yes.
So what legacy are you living with the actions that you have?
Right.
So
we thank you for joining our conversation about legacy. We hope you'd enjoyed it. And just a quick reminder that we are having online services. And if you are local, we would love to see you in-person service with us soon. There's always room for you at Richmond Assembly.
oh yeah.
Have a great day.